Fellas, who is the best wrestling character in video game history?
Oh, God, this.
The best wrestling.
So our editor, shout out Scan, gave us a whole list of like people. I knew one name.
I knew
of the
two
20.
of them.
I know Zangief.
Yeah, I know Zangief and Honda.
That's it. That's the only one. I don't
Yeah.
play fighting games.
That's fair.
So
Me either.
I don't know.
That's fair.
The only
That's fair.
wrestlers in games I knew were
wrestlers.
WWE SmackDown games.
All right,
No
all right.
mercy. So I'll go. If as far as wrestlers in other games, I just by default Zangief.
Zangief. All right, we have Zangief, number one. Actual Zangief, it was a real person.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact. Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, you didn't know that? It was a real person.
No.
If I could show the screen, but
Whoa,
yeah, you should be seeing
you
it
did.
right now. Yeah, there it is.
Wow.
Zangief.
I got to be
real-
honest. The guy on
real
the
dude.
right frightens me more than the guy on the left.
1000%.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake, who's yours?
Mine is from Guitar Hero 2.
Who?
So technically, there is a wrestling character in that game because he has a song in that game by the name of Trogdor. I'm talking about Strong Bad from Homestar Runner. That's my favorite wrestling character in a video game.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I did not even. And yet again, I got nothing. All right, let's go ahead and start the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the men and women slapping me in the middle of the square circle, the stories they tell, the mother flipping process. I'm GB, you got Jake, you have Matt. We're going to yap about some pro wrestling today. As always, it has been a fantastic week of pro wrestling because it feels like across the board, everyone is hitting. Before we do that, I'm actually going to do something a little different. We're going to be talking about some WWE. We're going to talk about what's going on Raw, what's going on SmackDown. Then we're going to talk about some AEW. Then we're going to preview Dynamite 250 real quick. And then we're going to close things out with TNA Slammiversary, which is this weekend.
Man,
so it's going to be awesome
today.
We gotta support our boy Matt, who's going to be going out there and killing it on commentary.
Biggest show of the year.
That's right. Biggest show in the year. It's a sellout show. It's awesome. Make sure you get TNA Plus, or you can sub on YouTube for $1, people. I'm going to show every single freaking time.
We'll go over to GB's and we can all hang out there and watch it.
Or that, which honestly I have been
me
told
for his address. I do have it.
I'm a pleasant person to watch professional wrestling with. I have been told. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. That's what we're going to be talking about here today, but we're not going to waste any time because there's a lot to dive into. So let's just dive right into it and yap about first. The Bloodline laying the smacketh down on young Cody Rhodes as he saw his friend, his dear friend, Randy Orton, get absolutely obliterated in front of him at ringside. And I guess the question that I pose to you fellas is, did the moment land? Did it feel like the Bloodline really are this vicious team? And did it work from, because it was the good guy going to the ring knowing that the bad guys were going to do this stuff. It was all the things. They even had a segment with it.
He knows it.
Did you feel like it delivered, Matt?
I feel like yes. I like over it delivered. It didn't over deliver. It didn't under deliver. I think it delivered. Couple that with Solo's promo and stuff like that. Kind of just overall, like, how are we setting these guys up as big bads, as villains? I think it kind of goes back to what I think I said many weeks back, and that I think is okay. Like, I don't think that Solo is a big bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a nearly impossible shoe to fill given the shadow of Roman Reigns. But I think that's okay.
Which I think is the point.
Yes. The idea, like I said, this is the Jurassic Park thing. These are the Raptors. They're terrifying. They're annoying. They're dangerous. But we know there's a bigger, meaner Bloodline member out there kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think, especially adding Jacob added a nice level to him, and there's enough of them now too. Again, we got a full, four heavy hitters that are dangerous enough to make people question, to make anybody question going up against them, especially 1-on-4, 2-on. It's not like anybody's a pushover.
Yeah,
but there is that sense that they're like, I don't know, they ain't filling the shoes they think they are, which I think is good for bad guys. They are overconfident, I think, in some ways, but dangerous enough to be a threat to whoever might try to, step up to them.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. The Raptors in Jurassic Park. If you want a comedy version of that, they're like the kids on the playground in Step Brothers.
Yeah,
making them lick dog shit and whatever. But I thought it was good. I especially liked Solo's promo after, because Solo, I think it's been purposeful. Solo has been trying to emulate his version of Roman Reigns, of trying to be the quiet, confident leader who doesn't say much and just speaks confidently. But the man is losing his patience. He's not getting the respect that he thinks he deserves from the people in the ring and backstage and the people in the audience. And he's coming unglued. And that promo, I think, to me, really showed that and is really starting to showcase that. But
he's Sonny Corleone.
Yeah. That's
exactly. I mean?
We've talked about that. Yeah, that's exactly it.
He doesn't know what else to do. Like, and people aren't taking him serious. So his only reaction, instead of diplomacy or like strategy, is just violence, right?
Correct.
I'm just going to strike out and attack, and everyone's going to see how tough we are.
Right.
And that's going to backfire on him ultimately.
Because not only that, and it's actually, it's both a brilliant way to that WWE is transitioning their segments as well, is by having them get involved in other things, because you saw that they just came out and beat the shit out of DIY.
Yeah.
For no other reason but because you were in my ring.
Was that people were really mad about that? And I am not of the camp that was a bad idea. I actually think that was a really smart idea, because firstly, for people who are like mad about the tag team champions getting buried, as the term constantly gets loosely thrown around,
right?
They had just wrestled a match. They were sneak attacked by a wrestler, a character,
arguably the most vicious man on the roster right now.
They're literally calling this man a criminal. They're saying he, like, they've said that multiple times now. Like, it's very clear that, like, it wasn't DIY looks bad. It's also ridiculous even to insinuate that, considering how much Triple H has constantly invested into guys like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, and
built them up, and really, like,
who are literally holding the tag championships right now. So I don't think it was bad. I think it was really smart, and it illustrates the ferocity of the bloodline narratively.
And a small thing from like a booking perspective that I think people may overlook, and again, maybe it's just like an inside baseball sort of thing, but a lot of the time, any time they would do an angle like that. All right, we're going to have a big heel come out and fuck this situation up, right? Kind of out of the blue. 9 times out of 10, they would just do it, and they'd run out in the middle of the match and just lay waste to everybody, right? That's always really annoying. They gave DIY a definitive tag team title defense against the people they won it from. So it's that they gave them that closure that every, I think, team is always good, is like, nope, the win was never a fluke, blah, blah, blah. We get our rematch. Nope, we beat you again. We are established. They gave them a firm, strong, clean win against the former champions, retained their titles, and then a sucker punch from this big, nasty heel. I think it's fine. Yeah.
I thought that was great. I thought that it did illustrate how strong this team has become. I think WWE did a really good job with the slow build of, where we started, to Roman losing, to Kevin Owens closing the door on Solo Sikoa's face, as he said, and Paul Heyman even saying, like, you don't get to go in there. Like let's not forget that really all started there, right? In that moment where Solo comes into a world where, remember, he was brought into the world of WWE when Roman was champion. All he's ever known is a Roman Reigns that is a champion. All he's ever known is, like, being a part of a winning faction, right? So now he's in, as you guys had, really well stated, he's in this position where he's got to scratch and claw and get back to the top. So what does he do? He goes and gets some of the most vicious, most, unhinged people that have never been picked up by WWE before, despite the Samoan dynasty and everything. Guys from the outside, technically, right? Because you can get away with that. And then he builds himself a formidable faction. It's brilliant.
But
it's really well done.
And what's also interesting about it is like, because it's almost whitewashing how Roman's run was in a way, because everybody's clamoring for him to come back. Like he was this great benevolent.
They were the bad guys.
He was this great benevolent man, and he did everything by the book. And bullshit. His family helped him get that's a family title. You know what I mean? Like, and it's almost like we're forgetting that whole aspect. Like that's how
they needed them to become bad guys again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I guess now the question is, has WWE done enough to make the bloodline what it was originally and what it will remain to be, a bad guy faction? Or is this something else?
What I honestly think that they need is I think that they probably need a win at Survivor Series. Like I think like they need a win over like some, like, I mean, granted, I know he pinned Cody, and it was it was them versus Cody and Randy and Kevin Owens, and they beat them. Like, yes, that's a big deal, but like I still feel like they need another big win under their belt for them to really start to be taken like almost to that level serious that we had of them, the opinion that we had of them before. I mean,
which is why I think the best direction for this to go, if we and wait a minute, I actually do have a new fantasy booking graphic.
I love it.
If we actually think about where this can go, right, then I think what makes the most sense is we get to SummerSlam. We have a great contest between Solo Sikoa and Cody. Solo Sikoa looks like he's in a good spot, but Cody, valiantly fights through John Cena style, gets the win, right, overcomes the odds. Next night, or SmackDown, we move forward, and then I think that's when we start to reintroduce Roman into this, because let's not forget, again, this all literally started with Paul Heyman telling Solo that night after WrestleMania that your whole thing is to just make sure that Cody doesn't get too out of hand. And that was what Paul Heyman told him.
Yeah.
And things have gotten out of hand.
Yeah.
Things have gotten out of hand. You know? So yeah. And oh man, the graphic wasn't coming down. Hate to see it. I tried to program into the Stream Deck so that the graphic will come down for our audio listeners, trying to add some production, a little bit of pizzazz to our broadcast. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think that's like where we're going to then to Survivor Series, where we get Bloodline versus Bloodline?
Potentially. I still like running parallel to this. I do still think maybe I would love to see if they're putting some seeds in for some long term with Cody and Randy still. I thought it was going to be maybe a little sooner, but like there's a lot of that, like, I got your back. And I feel like Randy's never a white meat baby.
He's a snake,
but not for long. I think we'll eventually there's going to be that classic, like, dude, I've had your back all in summer.
Yeah.
Right. Like, maybe you give me another swing at that thing. Give me a swing at, I'd love another chance at holding the world.
How do you get there though? How do you get?
I think does
Cody feel oblivious and is giving title shots to other people and not giving it to Randy or something like that?
I think I think we just saw the reason. I think we just saw it on SmackDown.
What, when he got his ass beat?
Yep. I think Randy's going to twist it into, how come when I said I would have your back, you didn't have mine?
But he was tied up getting his ass beat.
He doesn't give a shit. I don't think Randy cares. I think Randy Randy Orton is a wolf in wolf's clothing. It's like you can't believe a word that the man says.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was funny when he was
can't.
like, everyone in that locker room's got your back. And I'm like, no, they don't. They do not. They like,
Right.
I know they don't. It was so blatantly obvious
he's
that
too saccharine sweet, man. It's Randy Orton. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him.
Do you think that we could, a heel Randy Orton run feels so right though? It does. It feels like that would be really fun.
Oh, for sure.
I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think Randy won. What world title is he on? He's approaching those Cena numbers, right? He's like 12,
He's
13,
like 12,
14.
I think.
Yeah, he's 12,
something
I
like
think.
that, right? So, but anyway, he also potentially. I mean, there's all the rumors spilling around John's Cena's final run next year. You know, would we see Randy Cena at WrestleMania 41? Could it be for the WWE title? Maybe this can play into that. I think Randy could fill that, depending on when he's coming back, that Roman Reigns kind of role. That he's that kind of big time stoic heel champion. He's that.
But does he get another
kind
champion
of
run?
personality. He could. I mean, he's still in incredible shape.
Knowing that we have to at some point in time resolve the Rock Cody situation,
right?
And knowing that they're making a big deal about this WrestleMania in Las Vegas, and this is the reason why I have like a really difficult time, like with the way the WWE approaches their storytelling from time to time, because it does feel too obvious, but they're doing a good job of like throwing you off the scent. So it's like,
sure,
I don't know. I don't.
Where like you feel like Cody, well, he has to hold on to the title till Mania is kind of like the thing, right? So like everything between now and then feels like predictable and like I'm not going to be taking on much of a ride. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
because they're making such a big deal out of Vegas and stuff.
I mean, Cody Rhodes is undoubtedly the biggest star right now,
yes.
Right? So when you look at the narrative and then you look at the things surrounding the narrative, right? It's like you could realistically go with a Randy Orton heel turn. There's plenty of time for you to do that story, I think. Especially if there's like a bloodline in feud that we could potentially be going toward for SummerSlam. So you would need an opponent for Cody who better than Randy Orton. But at the same time, though, you could easily do freaking Cody John Cena for like, you know, John Cena's shooting his shot, right? You know, that's a stadium seller right there. So I don't know. It's like, it's weird. I want them to do this because I think Randy Orton, like, I did not learn to appreciate enough of Randy Orton's title reign when he was the undisputed WWE champion carrying around big gold and the WWE championship. I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have back then. I was so in on Daniel Bryan. I was such a simp for the freaking ROH dudes coming up and trying to throw everything off that I was like, no, it needs to be Punk. It needs to be Bryan. I need my NXT guys to pop off. I need this. Without realizing that Randy Orton was putting in some fucking work. And I want that again. So that's where I'm at.
Sure. Well, here, I'll say this. You're asking like, oh, is it so predictable? And like, does it make it? You're asking the question, aren't you?
I'm asking.
You're sitting
the
here being like,
brother.
you're wondering.
Work,
you're curious. Yeah, maybe. You're like, well, I could see a Randy Orton run. I'd really like to see that. So the possibility, even though part of you feels like, oh no, they're going to save all this. Nothing's going to happen before Mania 41. But no, but you're wondering, the other side of your mind's going, they could. So
they could.
That's all WWE needs. They need you to go, well, they could. And then that's all they need to book a match with Randy Orton.
But then I know immediately that there's no world where the guy who ended the reign of the dude who had the championship for fucking ever, right? I know that dude's title reign isn't going to end before a year is up, because that would feel silly, wouldn't it?
But you've already questioned it in this conversation,
right?
I mean, come on. No, I'm questioning it for the sake of the podcast.
but that's my point. But you make it a big enough match, like say maybe it's at Survivor Series, maybe it's somewhere else. I don't know. and maybe it's at Rumble, but with Randy's a big enough star, and blah blah blah. And Cody he's a baby face, but he's a vulnerable baby face too.
True.
So like all you need, even if like we're like 99%, he's holding it at least till Mania 41. That one, as long as they can work with that 1%.
Yeah.
We can work with that. If you have that 1% of doubt, we can play on that.
That's
sure. Fair. But I also don't think that he has to hold. I mean, because so what are we saying that now Cody has to hold it?
I don't think he does. I don't think he does.
I don't think that he does either. But I think that the whole thing with Cody winning at WrestleMania is resetting the ecosystem. Like that's a little bit to me what it is it's like, look, we took down the big bad. You know, we've used the in-game reference before. I mean, it's like, look, have we really seen a villain to the level of Thanos yet? No, not really. But that doesn't mean that these other people aren't still threats to these heroes. Yeah. It's the same thing in wrestling. He's eliminated the big bad. He's reset this ecosystem. And now it's more dangerous than ever to be champion because everyone thinks they have their chance, right? Yeah. Everyone thinks that they have their shot, and now's when I can get it. Now's when I can go after Cody. The belt has never been more vulnerable than it is out of the hands of Roman Reigns. Yeah. So I think that alone kind of has to have you wondering a little bit, like, what's going to happen here with the championship?
Yeah, no, that is an excellent observation. I quite like that. And I think, across the board, I mean, SmackDown was pretty entertaining. We'll talk a little bit more about the shows overall, but we really wanted to hammer in on like some of the bigger topics that kind of spiraled about from some of these shows. That takes us into Monday Night Raw because we got to see Damien Priest and Gunther finally face off in the middle of the ring. It was a long time coming. We were constantly at odds, constantly asking. We even asked it on this podcast. What makes the most sense for SummerSlam? And we all were convinced that it makes the most sense to have guys like Seth Rollins, you know, giving that title over to Gunther and all this stuff. But this Monday Night Raw actually put some doubt in my mind that I think Priest might be able to pull it off. And part of the reason why I was watching the show, and I was telling my wife, who just has to listen to my wrestling opinions and has no other choice in the matter. I told her, I was like, if Priest pins Strowman just clean in the middle of the ring, that there's something they're trying to really push this right now. That doesn't mean that they're not pushing Priest to lose to Gunther, but I do think that they're now really starting to make Priest feel like he is a threat on the roster, which has been a problem in his last few feuds. How do we feel? Do we share the sentiment? Do we not share the sentiment? Where are we?
I mean, I mostly agree. I think more the angle rather than the threat. Yeah, but no, that's true. I think for sure they're trying to push him as a clear-cut certified babyface.
Yes.
110%. And so just establishing that, so they wanted to be a strong babyface. I don't know. I still think so. Like, I think his game has stepped up. I think his promo game still lacks a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's miles ahead of where he was a year or two ago and everything like that. But I still feel like he reminds me of like early world title run Roman.
Yeah.
It's like,
or early world title run Rhea as well. Very
like their first title runs where it's like they're fine. They're not struggling in there, but like kind of like here, right? It wasn't too captivating. Like it always seems it's missing a little something. And I think this one was better than a lot of them, but he still needs that next level. And it could be maybe his next championship reign. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't have to not everybody has to have 2-year reigns and everything like that.
I agree with that.
He's already had a couple of impressive wins and everything like that. So If he loses to Gunther, I don't think it's a transitional thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think they're doing a good job of. So to round it all back, I do think they're doing a good job of establishing him as a pretty strong champion, even if he doesn't retain it against Gunther at SummerSlam.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think that I'm okay if he loses the title. I think we got plenty of great matches out of Damien Priest as World Heavyweight Champion, and it would be cool to see what Gunther could do with a title like that. But it has been really cool, though, how even in Gunther's promo, and the promo was apparently a little controversial. I was just taking it for what it was, is like two guys trying to get, heat on Gunther, because a lot of people do like Gunther. And I viewed it as them just trying to get Gunther to be, the bad guy in the story, because that's what he's supposed to be.
I thought it was an incredible promo.
I thought it was great.
I thought it was great. I thought both of them did really well, but I don't know. Gunther, it's so refreshing to see a absolutely sure of himself and able to back it up arrogant heel.
Yes.
You don't get that kind of combination off him, but it's like, but him just saying, I want to spare you the embarrassment.
Yeah.
And take this burden off your shoulders. Just give me the title.
We haven't had that in a while.
Bro, that is because I believed him. I was like, just give him the title. Just give it to him.
If it was me in that situation, I'd cave immediately.
I'd be like, you are exactly right. Like, it's just, and it didn't come across as a, like, it genuinely came across as like he not only believes it, the man has seen the future. The man has come back and is here to warn him. Look, we know where this goes. Don't let it go down this path. I can save you right now. I thought it was so good. It was just
it's every supervillain.
Yes.
Ever who gives you that speech like this is inevitable. The end is nigh. Your futile resistance is laughable. But of course, the ever rebellious good guy has to be like, screw that. I'm fighting to the end.
Yeah.
It's a trope, but it freaking works.
Yeah.
And that was my big takeaway from it, was that this was kind of like a storyline that's just back to basics, right? There is nothing really around it, right? Like when you look at the feud that he had with Jey Uso, right? It was Jey saying, "Hey man, you know what? I'm going to beat you because I'm better than you, because you just cashed in. So like you're not better than me." And then they wrestled, and then they had their match, and then there was a bloodline interference, and then, that kind of led to this whole Damien Priest can't win a match without the bloodline. So then Damien Priest is like, okay, well, or sorry, not the bloodline, Judgment Day. I kept saying bloodline. Judgment Day. I got Samoans on the mind. So then the Judgment Day, gets banned from ringside, and then it's like Seth saying he can't win, but then CM Punk is the reason why Damien won. But when you were looking at the match, Damien Priest was holding his own against Seth Rollins. It was like perfectly fine, but then in comes, Drew McIntyre, and then that story kind of T-bones into Damien Priest's whole run as World Heavyweight Champion. And now this one, it's like Gunther's got every right to go up to him and be like, bro, you can't win without help. So then they resolved it by Damien Priest saying, look, this guy, and I didn't see this coming. Honestly, for weeks, I was like, where is this Braun Strowman bullshit going with the rest of the Judgment Day? Is it just something for Judgment Day to do? And partly, yes, but also partly they smartly used this whole situation and said Damien Priest is going to handle the business that his team should have handled from the get-go. What I like about it, though, is the fact that he's trying to appeal as this good guy now. He's coming out, putting his hands up. He's appealing to the crowd more. He's playing to the crowd more. Wasn't doing that in his last few matches. In his last few matches, he was coming out being all rise, blah, blah, blah. Even when he said all rise in the promo, the crowd was like mixed. Some of them were like, yeah. And the others were like, you know? So there's this like process that they're putting into it, and a good old fashioned arrogant bad guy versus the plucky good guy story works so well. We'll see what happens. That, of course, is going to be developing.
It does feel like, I mean, like you said, yeah, it does feel a little like Wrestling 101.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a bad thing.
And that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But it does feel very reminiscent of like, 10, 15 years ago when it was like, we need to make this guy look like a threat. Okay, have him beat Big Show.
Yeah.
That's a little how it feels, you know?
Definitely did. But Braun Strowman hadn't been beaten like that ever.
Right. That was my next point. Yeah.
So I think that's where you can kind of get away with it.
Right.
In this instance.
It's just they're in a tough spot with Priest, unfortunately, because they're moving him as a babyface, but he's not well established as a babyface.
But they haven't really been presenting him as that as well, because he cashes in, he does the heel thing, he's still in the heel faction.
That's what this is the point I'm making, is like they're clearly trying to go in that way, but it's not established yet. And he's going up against a heel who is well established as a heel.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, despite the fact that they're a heel, like we can boo him and Imperium and stuff, but we also know he's like really good, and like we kind of like that he's really good at the wrestling thing. So like Gunther is perfectly established with who he is. Priest is in this weird transition point. To your point, like his reactions are kind of like, but they like him because he's like he's being the good guy versus the Judgment Day antics, but like I don't really like him yet because he's not done anything that I like yet. It's a tough kind of tweener spot for Priest right now.
But they are also pushing it that direction, or they're at least like starting to establish that more, because look at his interaction last night with Jey Uso. Jay's super over and he's acting all buddy with him, making fun of Dom. You know, so I think it's heading that direction, and they're really hinting toward it more. But no, there hasn't been that one thing that's like, Damien Priest is a babyface.
I think what it is also they needed to resolve a lot of this shit too, right? Because how do you get a guy over as a babyface when he's a part of a heel faction? Right. And the reason why they're doing that is because of Rhea. Rhea is over like Rover. So it's like Rhea can't continue to be in Judgment Day and then be the only good guy, and then everyone else is a bad guy, right? It's part of it, like it's what makes this Dominik Mysterio situation so fun. But I do like the dynamic. I wish that they leaned further into the dynamic, but like it's fine. Go for it, Matt.
No, so this can kind of lead, if you want, to talking into about Liv and Rhea and stuff. Yeah, I think that's where we're going next. Anyway, so that's actually a great example. I was just thinking about that, and that's another issue. I'm just what I feel like what they're trying to do, because actually, in a weird way, I think with Rhea it's worked fine, because even when she was facing Becky, even when people liked Rhea for a long time because she's just a badass, right? So even when she was a clear-cut heel in Judgment Day, she was kind of basically a babyface. She was kind of the babyface of Judgment Day before Priest started this whole run.
Yeah.
So the problem, it feels like, and I may be a little off base here, that like they're trying to like force something on Priest that happened very naturally and very successfully with Rhea.
Oh, good call.
Priest is not naturally getting over with the crowd yet. He's just not, for whatever reason. People he's good. People know he's good.
I think
but
people
he's not,
like him.
He doesn't have that next level of like, damn, that's our badass. That's our like Rhea just hit this note in the last couple of years, this Judgment Day run. This is my brutality freaking run.
But think about that too, right? Like there's a reason for that. And the reason is WWE traditionally had a lot of their women's wrestlers kind of fit certain buckets and tropes, right? And you didn't really have the in your face, black clad, like crazy makeup, whatever the case may be, like this. Also, her size is, she's very imposing. She's got she's in incredible shape. So it's like so many of those things kind of like work to her advantage. And that hadn't really been a thing, that it was very fresh for, women's wrestlers. I mean, you really had like Paige, Saraya, or Saraya. She was like that, I think. But, again, Rhea Ripley just has an imposing figure that is very hard to ignore. It's like Charlotte Flair. It's another individual who it's like you see her and it's like that is a fucking wrestler right there, you know. And that's how it is with Rhea. Counterpoint on the men's side, that's a lot harder to get over because that's happened all the time. You got LA Knight who's walking around in a vest, cutting some incredible promos. He's got his whole shtick going on, right? He's got his swagger. So it's really about Priest finding his voice as a good guy. And I like this whole thing of him. I mean, look, selfishly, I like it as a Puerto Rican, intersecting a little bit of the Spanish in there, the little things like I want him to make Wepa into a thing. I would love for him to continue to further into the whole Wepa thing. Like the way that Jey Uso's got Yeet, Damien Priest could have Wepa. That would be really dope. I don't think they would do that because it doesn't really fit the character that well. But this is an opportunity for them to define what that character is going to be. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where the road goes here. But to that point, though, it takes us into Liv and Rhea. There's not really much else to dive into here because the big thing was her coming back. Liv has ran away from Rhea pretty much every time now. But we do know that the match at SummerSlam, it's set. It's official. All right. Because we didn't know if it was going to be official otherwise. Liv versus Rhea Ripley. It's happening. But fellas, I mean, surely Liv retains. I can't see why you'd take the belt off of Liv right now. For the story.
I think there's so much on the vine with you, and you know there's so many different possibilities of how is Dom gonna fuck this up for
That's
Rhea
the thing,
SummerSlam.
dude. That has to be
You
it.
have to.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, is it not all these questions in the air is going to lead, that's going to also help accelerate the Rhea split from Judgment. I think Judgment Day is going to crumble in the next 6 months.
For sure.
If not sooner. Between Damien and now Rhea, the two tent poles. So, yeah, I mean, you could have Rhea take it all back, but yeah, I think there's so much more to play with Liv retaining and how that happens with Dom and everything. It's ripe. It is rife.
It's ripe
for storytelling.
Rife and ripe.
Yes.
And everything in between. Yeah.
Yes.
Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's the more fun story to tell.
And can I just say really quick?
Fun? Oh, go for it.
I just hope, I just pray, and knowing the minds involved, I think it will be. I just hope it's not something as 101, as great as the basics are, whatever it is. Please just don't let it be like Dom taking the belt, swinging at Liv, she ducks and hits Rhea. Please just do something better than that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. It just is the more interesting story to tell if Liv wins, because then I think there need to be more threats established in the women's division for starters. It's been such a fun story to tell. It's always more fun to watch a babyface on the chase going after the title. And besides, Liv has played everything so masterfully. It would be a crime if she didn't think her way out of this as well. It's almost like this has all been so meticulously planned and thought out on her part.
Why would she stumble right at the finish line?
I have to imagine that she's there, because we've been saying for weeks, there is more to this story that we do not know. There are loose ends that have not been tied up. I am not convinced that Finn Balor is not involved. I'm not.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways for this to go.
Especially now that Rhea's back and she's like kind of questioning Carlito being there as well.
Right.
And that also kind of adds a little interesting wrinkle to it. Finn did talk to Rhea, and Finn did say, look, Liv, I know Liv helped us get these, but we're Judgment Day through and through. They're Judgment Day through and through. Does Liv take over Judgment Day?
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. I could see as a possibility.
We got a split down the line. I love it. All right, because see, I'm gonna be Switzerland over here. I'm gonna enjoy this. Let's start with Jake. Why does Liv Morgan become the leader of Judgment Day, and how does it work? Go ahead, gush about it.
She's done more for Judgment Day than Rhea Ripley has.
Ooh. Which she did point out to Rhea.
Correct. And that's the whole point, is Rhea has been very focused on herself and her title, right? And you guys go deal with this and you do with that. Man, they're tired of that shit. They're tired of being bossed around. They want to be, and it's the same thing with Dom, right? Of like, and Rhea pointed it out. You don't have me. I have you.
Oh, that's fair. All right.
They're done with that.
Okay.
They're done with that. Liv helped them win the tag title. She helped Dom beat his dad. She has done more for Judgment Day than Rhea Ripley has.
All right. Well, all right, Matt, why doesn't Liv Morgan take over Judgment Day? What happens instead of her taking over Judgment Day?
Look, she doesn't want that. She doesn't want a fucking litter of puppies following her. No, she's not a leader. She's an agent of chaos. She's here to fuck shit up, burn it to the ground, tear up the diary of Rhea Ripley, all her memories in her book, and throw it into the fireplace.
But man,
in her revenge tour, she does not want to take over. No, she wants to screw all their lives up. She doesn't want to. And I also think it's a terrible, lame way to keep a group going that, no offense, is on its way out creatively anyway. I think to just put her in charge for some weird, like, fumbling 3 months or something is so dumb and, like, desperate.
It's just the fact that the Judgment Day has made it this far is
so
impressive. It's so impressive.
Liv made a promise that she was going to take everything that Rhea loves
and destroy it.
She said she's going to take everything that she loves. She has taken the belt. All she has possibly taken Dominik. The only thing left for her to take is Judgment Day. Like, how much more of an insult to Rhea would that be if Liv is now the one calling the shots and treating Judgment Day like they're pawns, and she can't do anything about it? I don't know. Like, that's pretty fucked up to me. You got directions. That's like Hook getting Peter Pan's kids to fall in love with him. You know what I mean? Like, that was the ultimate insult. To Peter Banning.
See, funny?
Was his weird son dressed like Hook, calling him his
obviously
dad.
Not all this is tied, but it is really funny in Avenger. Was it Avengers or Secret Wars, and the Secret Wars run that they did? I think it was a Jonathan Hickman run.
Right.
Doctor Doom reformats everything, and everything becomes Battle World, and it's like Secret Wars all over again. But the kicker was that he took Sue Storm and his children, Reed Richards' children, and made him his own in this universe. And it's like, that feels like Liv. Liv is Doctor Doom. She wants what Rhea has. But the question is, does she want what Rhea has, or does she simply want to destroy what Rhea has?
I think it's B.
Maybe you guys in the comment section can let us know.
What do you think?
Who do you side with? Do you side with utter destruction of Judgment Day, or do you side with Liv Morgan becoming the captain now?
Why would you destroy something that can be of use to you?
We'll find out.
Okay.
We'll find out. We'll find out. But selfishly, I'm going to cut that out and turn it into a YouTube video, because that's a good ass topic, man. I think it's fantastic.
No, it's great, and the fact that we have these really branch, I think both with fair points. And
exactly.
Is a good. You means you have something meaty that they're telling.
Meat on the bone, baby. We need a meat on the bone graphic now. I gotta. We need a meat on the bone T-shirt.
Yeah,
that's what we need. Yeah. That's what we need. All right. Well, let's continue on, because we're already deep into this here. We'll touch on this real fast. Intercontinental title picture. I'm thinking triple threat SummerSlam. Ilya Dragunov,
looking like
Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn.
feels pretty spelled out to me. Yeah.
Right? Do you think the finish is spelled out though?
No.
I mean, man, I don't think so. I mean, because we thought the finish was spelled out at Money in the Bank.
We really did.
Because we're like, man, they're pushing him hard, and they continue to push Breaker hard, but they swerved us at Money in the Bank. So I don't know for sure anything.
But yeah. And Sammy made a great point of how am I still the underdog? And I think he proved that.
That was such a great promo.
I think he proved that, but I can really see all three of these men have made a case, for holding this title.
Mm-hmm.
They all have.
Am I the only one who thinks of?
It's like WrestleMania the year before, the triple threat between Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre, which was an absolute banger of a match. It was my favorite match of that whole WrestleMania.
Probably my favorite matches of all time.
And it was like I can very much see a match like that happening again at SummerSlam between these three. I don't care who wins.
Yeah,
I'm in for the ride, man. You know,
I felt like that promo from Sami Zayn. You know how like in WWE 2K they have like the ratings, they have like the numbers.
Yeah,
I think that promo made Sammy from an 88, right, to like a 90.
Yeah,
on the score, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like I actually would be shocked if 2K25 comes out and Sami Zayn's not a 90 at least, because I mean he beat Gunther. So
that's true.
You know, he should be. I don't know if I'm the only person who thinks about pro wrestling that way, but when they did the lower thirds of the WWE 2K ratings for the matches, I was like, that shit is awesome, because like it gives the impression that like if the 87 beat the 89, holy crap, that's big. Right? Like that, like the underdog won the match. I really enjoyed that stuff, but I know it's arbitrary and silly. But yeah, that's I not really much else to talk about with the Intercontinental title right now. But there is
I'm just like, give me.
But
more
Jake,
of
you're
it.
right. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
They're gonna kill each other. Those three men in Cleveland. There will be a murder in Cleveland apparently, and it will be one of those three men because
all three.
Someone's not leaving
tossed
that
in the
match.
Cuyahoga River and left behind.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone's not being left in that match without at least a few scars. But you know what? We'll touch on another small thing before we get into what I thought was an excellent segment from the Wyatt Six. And again, we'll gush about that, but I do want to give a lot of love to Sonya Deville's new team, her and Shayna Baszler, along with Zoe Stark. This is great. You need something. You need some movement, right? You need some characters to kind of make some changes. This is a great way to start it off. Sonya Deville gets a win off of over Zelina Vega. And then Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark got the win over the former Women's Tag Team Championships, which, by the way, I really like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. I think that's Kaden and Katana. We'll just say that. I really like that team. They remind me a lot of early Usos, where it was like just colorful team. You know, they did a lot of fun moves in the middle of the ring, like double team moves, like essence of tag team wrestling. Weren't winning all the time, but you knew when they came out for a match, it would more than likely be pretty entertaining. That's kind of where they're at right now. So I'm interested to see where that goes. But there's not a lot of meat on that bone yet, outside of maybe them feuding with Damage Control. But we'll see. That leads us, though, to what really was a big focus of conversation post Monday Night Raw, and that was Rowan's segment and his whole promo, the Wyatt Six, the videotape. I really feel like the way that they've been handling that has now borderline on corny. Like the whole Pat McAfee, and you know, because like the guys who were in the interview, they were like laughing the whole time while he went to go grab the videotape. And it's like, I get it. It's wrestling. It's silly. It's meant to be funny and fun at times, but only for then that segment to be this very, very deep tape that Rowan put. So Matt, I want to start with you on this. Because, you know, I mean, I'm assuming you know Rowan as well, right? Because you worked with him. Yeah. So, How did that particular thing hit for you? Because
I mean, it
was heavy.
Yeah, it was really heavy, and those are the best things. And like, you can't. I know, especially in a creative industry, you can't always just. I always say this about wrestling, like shooting from the hip and from real life is great, and it makes for some interesting stories. But like, we should also be able to creatively write characters and stories without having to make real shit. But there's so much here with some of these characters, like with Taylor, that first kind of interview, that howdy chat he had talking about Wyndham, and then now Rowan talking about both Brody and Wyndham, and like that's such good shit, and like that's what I like. You know, when there were rumors of like the Wyatt Six, this new group is going to be a little bit more based in reality. They still have their fantastical nature, but like we're delving into these people's real stories. I'll be curious what they do with some of the other. I mean, obviously you started with the two who have very real, close tied, very real life death and loss with people that we know in the wrestling community. The other members of the Wyatt Six, less connected to that directly. So I'll be curious how maybe we hear their stories over the next several.
Go too fast should Rowan have been the last one?
Not necessarily. I think it really establishes some heavy, deep ties here to both real life and to this sadness and anger and everything like that. I'm just curious what they'll do. Are they going to kind of?
Are they going to keep doing their videotapes?
Are they going to? Yeah. Are we going to see that one from each member? Are they going to have creatively written backstories? Or are we going to go into Nikki Cross's real life and shit she's dealt with, kind of thing? Like, are we going to go into, you know, Dexter? You know, they're going to go by their real names in these interviews, whatever. I'll be very curious. But I mean, man, Rowan just dug down deep. It was heavy. It was emotional. It was very, very.
What was that
real.
line
it was
he said at the end? We're going to take our pain.
I don't remember the
our
specific.
pain is going to make some beautiful art. I think
Yes.
something like that.
I mean, because you like really do believe that, both from the performer, right? Like what the character is trying to illustrate, but also from what the individual is saying too. It's like, I do feel like for the whole Wyatt family trio, you know, like Rowan was always the one that kind of like struggled to get recognized as much as like Luke Harper did, and or Brody Lee, and then of course, you know, Bray. But and he had his moments for sure. I think like that old creative bungled it many times for Rowan. But this time around, it feels like you could really believe that, you know, you could really believe that message. It was good. And then they showed up, you know, to confront Alpha Academy 2.0 or the Alpha 2.0 or whatever they will call themselves now. I thought that whole thing was great. Did you like him just going around saying it's Bo Dallas, it's Bo Dallas? I didn't see that coming, honestly. I didn't think that they would use the Bo Dallas name again.
I did.
I did too. Yeah.
It just feels like they forgot about him, you know?
Well,
like,
I mean, I suspected they would do kind of like what they did with Bray. Of the Bray and the Fiend were two different entities altogether, and I assume that I assumed they were going to do the same thing here with him and Uncle Howdy.
So you always had a thought that we would see the real, like, not Uncle Howdy, we would see Bo Dallas at some point in time.
Yeah, because I think so.
Like in the ring and stuff, like we saw yesterday.
I didn't think that we would as much. I thought that we would see more Uncle Howdy, but now it kind of feels like these other sides of them are who they call upon when they're hurt. You know what I mean? Like they go all, you know, about their normal lives, but like when they need help, when they are hurt, when it was this entity that possesses them is who they turn to, you know, kind of like Venom and Eddie Brock kind of, you know, like it's I can't do this alone, and I need an outlet for my pain, and so let me use this to do that. because that's almost how it seems. Is it all? It almost seems like, I don't know. Like I love the lore of this kind of stuff, right? Of like, is this a pseudo partnership? Do these separate entities, beings, whatever you want to call them, like Uncle Howdy? Uncle Howdy didn't just take over. He almost made Bo relinquish himself to him. Give your, I need for me to take control, you have to give it to me. And once you do, look at the great things, the beautiful things that we can do together, right? That's almost how it kind of feels in a way to me. And that's what's, I think, going to be interesting about kind of learning more about them is just like the deeper side of this is what are they? I mean, like we don't even really know. We haven't had that answer, So I think it's I'm interested to see where this goes for sure, and I'm excited about it.
What's great about this is there's really no clear like this is going here, this is going there. This is like all up in the air.
And the fun thing about it is we may never get answers. I mean, sometimes that's the fun part about it, right? Is just the speculation of like,
for sure,
of letting people have their own interpretation of what they are.
Yeah, let them in.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's going to be really, really fun. There was a conversation I wanted to have, but we're running. We've had some good stuff this week. Maybe it's something we do on Discord. Make sure you join up on our Discord as well. You can check the link down below. We'll ask. I will pose a question though to our audience, and you guys can dwell on it. Which is, if you're listening and you get to this point, feel free to respond. How do you feel about WWE's use of programming their shows? Because SmackDown and Raw, very tight shows. They've been taking advantage of every second of television that they have put forth, and it's been really fascinating. But also, I did the quick maths. I believe last episode of SmackDown featured 4 matches, maybe 5, could be trolling, 4 or 5. That was in a 2-hour show. Rampage, 6 matches in a 1-hour show. I'll let you guys talk about it. We'll talk about it later, though. I will talk about that. That'll be a topic maybe for another episode. Want to know what you guys say, what do you guys think, and let us know in the Discord. That being said, let's move on to AEW. Let's get back on track, just like the way AEW's gotten back on track. That's right. Because Forbidden Door ended, and I was saying this a fair amount, and I feel like AEW Forbidden Door, fun show, sidelined so many things for AEW. Now that has ended, we're back on track. We have the conclusion of the Owen Hart Invitational. Bryan Danielson and Mariah May won their respective brackets. It was a great episode of Dynamite and actually a great episode of Rampage and Collision. All 3 shows were fantastic this week. A lot of story stuff kind of moved on. And where we're at right now is we're getting ready for Dynamite 250. We have 2 massive matches set up for that one. But what I want to talk about is Hangman Adam Page, because he has continued to be the most interesting character that AEW has invested their time into, from even the origin of AEW all the way until now. The big thing for me, what I really liked, was in his match, right before he came out, Jeff Jarrett was acting as the enforcer for the match because he wanted to make sure, like things wouldn't get too out of hand, and that turned out not to be the case. But when Hangman's music hit, Jeff Jarrett was waiting for him to come out of the left tunnel, which was traditionally the heel tunnel. But instead, Hangman comes out of the right tunnel, which has traditionally been the face tunnel. So now we could debate the tunnels and whether or not, like that's a good thing. But the creative use of them in this case to really illustrate that Hangman Page believes he is the good guy in this whole situation. He has not uttered Swerve's name a single time, by the way, since returning. This has been really unique stuff. Do we like this? I liked it. how did you guys feel about it? Jake, we could start with you if you'd like.
I could give a shit about the tunnels.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't like that? You didn't like that moment there of like them kind of reinforcing Hangman's
I get why,
point of view?
but then my second thing is like, then why don't all the heels come out of the face tunnel? Because no good heel thinks they're a heel.
That's true.
Thank
you.
Fair.
Like that,
every heel thinks they're the baby.
Right. So
that's what makes a villain.
Right.
Well, I think that's what Jericho's doing right now. He comes out of the face tunnel currently.
That's why it's stupid.
But then like I even
but there are rules there.
I forgot that was even a thing, you know, and
it should have never been a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
in modern wrestling, it should have never been a thing.
So like I understand the sentiment and I appreciate it. I appreciate that little detail. Like if that's a thing that we're gonna do, then great. Okay, I appreciate that little detail. But yeah, just that's the one thing that keeps hanging back in my head is like, then why don't they
more
all?
Of that? Yeah. So it's more the tunnel, less so the story that they are telling by utilizing this thing, right? To kind of like because I get what you're saying. I liked that touch. It's like the things that they're doing with Hangman's character. I've been liking the little touches that they've been adding
like
to it.
In a vacuum, accepting that moment, and as a reality that like there's a good guy and a bad guy tunnel. It was a nice little nod. I like that moment.
Yeah, I agree with.
Jake said I can appreciate that idea of like, oh, they're playing on that subtlety. That is nice.
Yeah.
But that lays on top of the fact that I think it's a stupid idea to have a good guy and bad guy entrance.
That's fair.
In a show where we're trying to kind of make you think that these characters are, because nobody thinks they're a bad guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody would come out.
Fun fact: MJF always came out of the bad guy tunnel. Always, even when he was a good guy. He came out of the bad guy tunnel. So I always thought that was a fun little detail. But the match overall, excellent matchup.
I think Cody came out of the fucking ground. So what did that mean?
Cody came out of the ground. So, well, that was another problem, but we'll talk about that another time. But excuse me. That being said, the match was fantastic. I mean, as expected, Hangman and Danielson, I mean, that just goes without saying. But man, I was really in a very similar situation to where we were with Money in the Bank, I think, before like Drew won. And what I feel even with TNA Slammiversary coming around the corner. We'll talk about that later. Stick around for that. I had no idea who would win this because it felt like it made a lot of, you gave Danielson an easy out. His body gave up on him. Hangman wins. He brutalizes him, and then he gets the win. So then you get Swerve Hangman at Wembley. But instead, you go with the dream match. You go with the Danielson Swerve at Wembley, and Danielson through, hook or by crook, through gritting by, everything he had, wins the matchup. So yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. Do you think that was the right call to go with Danielson for Wembley?
I think it's probably. Or go with the story? I think it's probably the bigger marquee match. I was just, when you said it, like it almost, but I know, I have my particular thoughts about wrestling and storytelling and everything. It's AEW's thing though. It's what's the dream wrestling match, and
True.
Bryan and Swerve is a very cool match.
Never happened before.
See. Yep, want to see. I think a more interesting story could have and would have been Hangman running that back and trying to see what layers you could add to that.
Well, it's not out of it though. We're not out of the woods with Hangman by any stretch of the imagination, because Blood and Guts is coming before All In. So, and Hangman went to the Young Bucks and said, "I'm in." After Swerve announced himself, which we all knew was going to happen. We just saw that shit coming from a mile away, but it was awesome. And I liked it. He didn't say anything. He just went up to them and said, "I'm in." And then that was it.
And something else to keep in mind, just because Hangman didn't win the match doesn't mean he won't be involved somehow. I
totally agree.
I mean, I could very much see that. I mean, the reason that we have that matchup is, in my opinion, is a pseudo send-off for Daniel Bryan. Like, we're going to give him, let's make him the main event of our WrestleMania, because we don't know how much time we got with him left in a ring. So let's seize it.
No, he's definitely going to have some of these Cinderella moments on the way out, for sure.
So,
but does he win?
I think that's as much what it is. No.
I don't know. I don't
I
think
think
so.
he can.
I think he can.
I think he will. I don't know why.
What I think ends
Well, I
up
can tell you why,
happening. I mean, it's to me the story is still Hangman and Swerve.
Exactly.
That's
why I think you can get Danielson winning, because I mean we're literally seeing it with Liv and Rhea, right? Swerve believes that Hangman believes that Swerve is evil and that the man is the bad guy and that he is the problem and he should not be the champion of the company.
Mhm.
And he's going to do everything in his power to defeat and destroy Swerve in blood and guts. And it is going to be brutal and it is going to be entertaining. And then he's going to be like, well, I couldn't beat you with blood and guts because I think logically, Swerve should win, or not Swerve, but Team AEW should beat the Elite this time around. And then I think you go into Hangman screwing over Swerve, because what else can he do? He's got to find a way to remove this man from this situation, and screws him over. Danielson gets the championship. You give Danielson a really good, like 6-month run, I would say, with it to kind of close out his career. And then he has a big match against, I don't know, like a Will Ospreay or an Okada or someone like that to take the title off of him. I mean, that's one direction you can go with it.
Yeah, I can see. I definitely can see that happening too. I don't know. It just feels like it just feels to me like it's coming down to Swerve and Hangman for the title. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I could see that too.
Because they already did the match without the belt. So
right.
Yeah,
just raise the stakes. It's already personal, but now we have a title involved too.
Right.
Yeah.
My bigger issue
I don't know.
is, and this is kind of a sort. I'm like, maybe this, and GB, you stop me if this is another one of those for another day or a separate topic. I am a little annoyed with there's so many AEW these themed episodes that are just I'm like, it should be a pay-per-view. Why is that not like a War Games pay-per-view? Like, why is Blood and Guts not its own thing? And like the Battle of the Belts, I'm like, that's Night of do it, just do it, make these part of pay-per-view. Like, I know they're just ratings bumps shows and everything like that, but it feels like that. It feels like a ploy for like a ratings bump, as opposed to like, this is a great place for this story beat to happen. Or like, I don't know, themed episodes feel weird to me, and they do them a lot.
Yeah, they and it's
hard to tell what's a pay-per-view and what's not, though. I'm like, like Beach Break seems stupid to me. I don't know. It's
for Shark Week.
So is this a pay-per-view? Like, kind of. It's not that level, but it's more than a regular episode. But then we also have a pay-per-view in like 3 weeks. But then they're gonna have another pay-per-view like TV like 2 weeks before that. To me, it muddies waters a little bit, and it feels confusing sometimes. Maybe I'm just a boomer and old, but
yeah, no, I understand. I could see that. I think I think that when AEW, and we can move on because I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do like this conversation though. I to just put a pin on it, I just would say, like, some of them make sense because it's marketing. Others are like for story reasons, like they make the match what it is for that particular episode. They try to keep their pay-per-views really like static. They don't try and add things nor remove things. So maybe that's why they feel like they can get away with it. I don't know. But that is a conversation for another day for sure. Because hey, in the comment section, what do you think? Do you like the themed episodes of AEW? Do you wish WWE did that? Or do you not like them? And do you not wish that anyone else did that? Let us know. We want to hear from you.
WWE does do it, but they do it sparingly.
They do it sparingly.
It's not often. Like, it's like let's do a throwback Raw. Let's do a,
I think also what really messed up AEW this year, honestly, is the fact that All In and All Out are like just 2 weeks apart from one another. Mm-hmm. And that seems more like a scheduling issue than it was, it's like, hey, you got to get Wembley, like, and anything else that's around it, like, figure it out, I guess. But that's like a more of a, event planning situation, not necessarily my expertise. Anyway, we'll be real quick on this one. When you're watching this, you got 2 massive matches of Dynamite, or for Dynamite this tonight. MJF versus Will Ospreay for the international title. Okada versus Swerve in a non-title match. We'll see what develops out of this. MJF versus Will Ospreay is gonna fucking bang. That's gonna not just be a great match, but I think they're gonna go in some pretty interesting directions, storyline wise with that one. Any predictions, you guys? Anyone you think who's gonna win? You think he's gonna get
Will Ospreay because Garcia screws over MJF?
Ooh, you think goes back too so soon? Okay.
I don't know what the Wembley goal is here. I thought we were gonna go Will MJF at Wembley.
Yeah. What's bigger than Will MJF at Wembley?
Maybe we still will. I mean, I don't want Garcia to get lost because he has been on a hell of a run.
Wait a minute. You just do a triple threat.
You could.
And like you're literally going to do with the Intercontinental Championship.
Right.
This is literally the blueprint of that then.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could see a non-finish happen then in MJF and Ospreay.
But then the question is, but I can also see a non-finish in Okada Swerve because it's non-title. I
think Okada beats Swerve.
Shenanigans or no?
No. Or maybe some shenanigans, but I think Okada
I don't think
beats
it's
Swerve.
a clean. There's, I mean,
it may not be clean, but Okada is going to lay out Swerve with a Rainmaker in the middle of the ring.
Oh yeah, I can see.
And that is if Okada hits the Rainmaker, the match is over. Maybe Swerve gets a last gas kick
That's
out.
what finishing moves do.
Yeah.
Well, they used to.
They've done a really good job of protecting a lot of these finishing moves, to be fair. Like the Rainmaker has been very protected. One hit, it's done. There are a few moves in AEW that are like that right now. Like One-Winged Angel.
They all should be.
Well, yeah, they weren't for a while because fucking, that's not, I mean, WWE was like the biggest perpetrator of that for like a super long time.
No, I know. I freaking hate that Cody did the 3 Crossroads to Solo.
I thought that was lame. I actually didn't like that.
Roman was the one guy he needed to do it to, and that was fine with that. Doing it to anyone else seems silly.
It was just a clear callback. And it was like, you don't need it. You could have just done 2 and it would have been fine.
Just a 1. It's a
actually, yes, it's true. But because Solo's weaker, you know what I mean? He's got a lower rating in WWE 2K24. You know what I'm saying?
72. All right. And that's what makes him a good heel because people are like, this guy is not a 95. So you need 1. We're not going back to the bloodline, but I think finishing moves should finish matches unless it's like the mania of manias.
Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I just looked it up because I wanted to double check. Solo Sikoa's rating is an 86 in WWE 2K24. Let's see Cody Rhodes' rating, 93. And look at that
what
stash.
A picture
Holy
choice,
moly.
yeah.
That is a choice of image. But I do like the way that it crops out of the graphic here and stuff like that. That is kind of cool. Way to go, Google. All right. Well, we'll see. Yeah, and there is going to be there will definitely be shenanigans. We could certainly say that. Let's go ahead and close up on the last topic of this show. A little bit of a loaded one, but we're so excited to talk about this one. TNA Slammiversary, baby, sold out show in Montreal.
Yeah,
or
that's
Calgary?
huge.
Montreal.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
big
that's
matches.
Huge.
Ash by Elegance versus Jordan Grace for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Mustafa Ali versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the X Division Championship. And your main event match is going to be a 6-man elimination match. And let me go ahead and name the pieces of meat that are going to be in that ring because it's going to be wild. You got Steve Maclin. I mean, Mr. Maclin himself. You have Josh Alexander, who, shockingly enough, took a pin in the middle of the ring in the last episode of Impact. So, Then you have the wanted man, Nic Nemeth, who is in a really interesting story right now with Frankie Kazarian in the middle of all this stuff. He's also one of the entrants in this one. The king of TNA. Is he finally going to get his crown? And then we have, say his name, he shall appear. Joe motherfucking Hendry is going to be in that match. And of course, your TNA World Heavyweight Champion, the beast, the man himself, Moose. Good Lord, that match is going to fucking bang. It's going to be so good. We'll talk about the two matches, the highlight matches first. Ash Bile against Jordan Grace. Jake, I don't want to start with Matt because Matt's going to be commentating it.
I talk about this stuff a lot.
Yeah. What do you think Jordan Grace drops here? I don't see that happening.
No.
But
Jordan Grace drops the
I think it's
title.
just a
When
start.
Jordan Grace wants to drop the title. She's a badass.
Yeah.
I mean, look, and I'm sure this is going to be an interesting match. I think because I do really like the character of Ash by Elegance, and it's so contrasting to Jordan Grace. I think it's going to be so fun, but like Ash also like incredibly athletic, very strong. Like I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
They just see the glitz and the glamour.
Well, they haven't seen her yet. That's the other part of it.
Well, I know,
though.
but see, that's the thing. They only see the glitz and the glamour. They haven't seen her yet. Like, I'm interested to see how it's going to translate all into the ring.
Yeah.
But like,
I actually wouldn't mind if Ash wins in a chicken shit capacity.
I mean,
and then you get
that's
Jordan
how it's
Grace
gotta
chasing
be.
for his title because honestly, Jordan Grace has not been chasing for a title in ages. She hasn't done a chase in ages. She's been champion for so freaking long now. It's like, I kind of want to see Jordan chase after a title, for goodness sake.
That's the one thing, and in before, just in case it hasn't been clear before, like people are like, well, you can't go, you know what's going on. I don't get
He doesn't
creative
know. He doesn't
until
know.
like I show up. All right, I promise you, it is not nearly as involved as you think it is. But no, but like the one thing that helped, like this has literally been going on for Jordan's whole most recent title reign because Ash showed up at Hard to Kill in January. That was her first "Hi, I'm in the crowd" kind of shot. Watching Jordan's match with Trinity that night, where Jordan wins the title.
Yeah,
and she's been doing this, like watching her matches, doing all her chicanery and everything.
Making her presence known.
Yeah.
In almost every single Jordan Grace match for like 6 months. That's my only thing is that it's not just that it may not just be another Jordan Grace, boom, pick him up, Grace slam, jackknife, jackhammer, juggernaut, jackhammer, pin her, put her away.
Right.
All right, next opponent. It's like, this is 6 months of stuff they've been doing. We got to pay it off a little somehow. So
Sure.
maybe I could see some. There are plenty of room for shenanigans.
especially with the personal concierge. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
That piece of work.
And she, you're right. I mean, she has scouted Jordan relentlessly, and really like.
There's got to be a payoff somewhere.
Maybe it could be like a Taskmaster situation. Like, hey, I know the moves you're going to do before you do them.
I would love that.
And can we play a little bit into like, and Jordan Grace has been on such a fucking roll.
Yeah, very public. A lot of tape.
That maybe, but also like
maybe overlooking Ash
because like when I get to wrestling her, I'm gonna trounce her.
Yeah.
And then Ash, and to be fair, probably will happen in a lot of ways, but Ash has tricks up her sleeve that Jordan maybe didn't take time to consider, and then she has to learn from that, chase back, and get to that title one more time.
Hey, all I'm saying is free material for you on commentary in esports. We always talk about tape. We always talk about, there's so much, like Sentinels and Valorant got kind of like exposed.
In real sports too.
Yes, you can, but it's more fun for esports. But anyway, we always use that all the time. But sometimes there's like some teams that don't have tape on them, and oftentimes, you see like those wins kind of creep up from there. You don't really get that in pro sports because everyone's games are taped. So maybe it's like random teams, or maybe it's like new teams coming in. But in esports,
Scrimbucks, baby.
We have so much instability that you never know who you're going to be facing. God dang it. But in any case, so I actually think that's pretty cool. I think it's a sick narrative.
Preparation
Of
is the key to victory.
And Jordan Grace has no idea what Ash by Elegance is going to do in the middle of that ring. While Ash by Elegance has all the tape in the world.
That's a very good point.
That's free for you. That's free for you. And you were probably going to say it anyway, but I want to take some credit. Other match, Mustafa Ali versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Man, I don't know where this one goes. But I think Mustafa holds on. That's where I'm leaning toward.
I think so too.
Matt, you're biased. Your commentary is biased all the time.
I was going to say the opposite.
Single one of your opinions. Okay.
I'm off TV right now. I know. I am. I play my part like a damn fiddle playing champion.
Oh.
I don't know that this could be because I don't know what the future holds either. But it does feel like we could have one of those. And maybe we'll get it with PCO earlier in the night with him and AJ Francis. But like this. Feels like one of those hometown boy moments would be really ripe here. Would be really good. Bailey's kind of, I think, needed something for a while. Like him and Trent were going after tag titles for a second. Didn't happen. This build has been really good.
Yeah.
But Ali's been on an incredible roll everywhere. Not even just in TNA.
Yeah.
And we talk about it all the time. All over pro wrestling, undefeated in singles competition. So... But that's a hell of a headline for one of our biggest shows of the year, too, is that's finally snapped by the hometown hero, Mike Bailey.
Yeah, and also, too, I mean, Mike Bailey was an X Division champion, so Mustafa Ali defeating Mike Bailey would, further solidify him.
Sure.
As like, yes, he's a chicken shit heel, but he's actually a threat in the ring, and there's a reason why he's undefeated.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's tough because like, there's
I didn't put the graphic up.
He's on like you said, just an incredible streak, and there's a lot to be said for momentum for a character, you know what I mean? And it takes a lot to break that. I think it's going to be great because they're both so fun to watch in the ring.
It is.
They're
It's
both
going to be a 5-star
so fun.
match,
It's going to be a great match. Yeah. Oh man.
Don't care who wins.
I think I don't really either. I would be super happy for Mike Bailey, friend of the show, Mike Bailey.
Friend of the show.
If I'd be ecstatic for him if he won. Well, super like incredibly well deserved. But Ali is just such a piece of shit.
It's so good.
Like, and I say that
piece of shit
with all due respect, like the utmost of respect. Just an incredible piece of shit. I don't know. I kind of feel like you said, Ali's on a roll. I think it's still going to be him.
Feel the same way, Matt?
No, I just told you.
Yeah.
I think
okay.
this,
I was ready for you to chill. For,
got it.
His tune will change when lights go up.
When the TV cameras are on, man. I know my part. I know my role.
It's whoever pays him the most. Shockingly enough, we don't pay him.
He's a propagandist, okay? He's a propagandist.
All right.
We can't trust big media over here because he's just spewing propaganda.
All right, well, let's go on to our main event match. Again, Steve Maclin, Josh Alexander, Nic Nemeth, Joe Hendry, Frankie Kazarian, Moose is champion. I really cannot call who the hell is going to win this match.
No, and it's another situation to me of like, I don't care. I don't care who wins. This is going to be a flesh and blood demolition derby, and it's going to be so much fun to watch. Everybody has a case for winning this title.
Legitimately.
I mean, legitimately, everyone really has a claim.
Which is hard in a world title match. There's often when you have like these 5-6-way matches, you're like, it's like one of two people, right? Who's going to win? And
right.
That guy's there to maybe, these three could all take the pin or whatever. Usually that's the kind of thing. But here with it both being elimination.
Right.
And so many people in this match had developed momentum as of late in a lot of different ways that like there's a story to be told and a reasoning for any one of them creatively to win that match.
Sure.
Yeah.
And do we see a situation like, five guys get together and say, hey, let's take out Moose.
Moose could go out. It's elimination.
Moose. I know.
Moose could go out
Is
first.
it elimination? Everyone starting in the middle?
Everyone starts in the match, but you pin or submit or whatever one at a time.
So it's Survivor Series method. Elimination method, basically.
I could very easily see them saying, let's take down the big man.
We're sick of your shit.
We're sick of him. Yeah.
I can a new champion no matter what.
Easily
could be.
see that.
Yeah. That's fair. Well, let's real quick, though, review the case for each one really quickly, because some have better cases than others, but everyone does have a legitimate case for winning this match. And Matt, feel free to, chime in and clarify, but I think Steve Maclin, the first one, recently re-signed. We were actually there at Rebellion when he announced that he did re-sign. So he's looking to build up some momentum. I think he's one of the weaker cases to win in this matchup to me, but still a good reason because he was champion at one point. He is very legitimate and has, an imposing figure and could very well be one of the final two, right? In this match. Josh Alexander. Now, he's an interesting one because I feel like with him getting pinned on Impact this last Thursday, that kind of throws the scent off of him a little bit. But Josh Alexander is still Josh motherfucking Alexander.
But again, the format also lends itself to it truly being anyone's match.
Truly. Then you have the wanted man, Nic Nemeth, who recently went up against Moose, but lost. There was a lot of shenanigans, but there is someone who caused a little bit of a problem for him this last week, and it was Frankie Kazarian, which, by the way, that segment from the closeout to the opening was so well done. Absolutely loved it. The what happened last week to the start.
But then to continue that paper, rock, scissor, who's got beef with Frankie Kazarian? Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
and who's the hottest thing right now in pro wrestling?
I mean, that's his biggest argument. I mean,
that's his biggest argument, but it is his only argument. Right. So you give an opportunity here for who I think will ultimately win the match. It's Moose, and I think Moose will beat Joe Hendry.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it comes down to Hendry and Moose at the end, and then. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
it's either Hendry or Josh Alexander are going to be the two at the end. I think Nic Nemeth and Frankie Kazarian are going to take each other out one way or another. I think Frankie's going to take out Nick. Joe Hendry takes out Frankie.
Yep.
And then you get really some TNA staples right there, squaring off against one another. I mean, even though it literally Frankie Kazarian, but you get like a really good four-way there, I think. But man, and here's the other thing too that I did want to shed a brief light on real fast. Mike Santana would have been in this match had it not been for Dango, for JDC interfering. And Moose specifically wanted JDC to interfere in that match and prevent Mike Santana from getting in. And I think there's meat on the bone there with Mike Santana. And that's why I think Moose is going to win, because Mike Santana can make the case after he wipes the floor with JDC and say, listen, I was going to be in this match. I got screwed. I need to take out Moose because I can beat Moose because I know what he's capable of. I've been here just as long as he has. Like, I know all, he's a freaking TNA guy as well, through and through. I think that's the case.
To your exact point, just to put in more specific button on it, Moose in a promo said, he's like, look, I don't really have to be worried about anybody who's like the qualifying matches we're all having is. I'm not worried about anybody who comes up to face me. And he didn't name anybody, but he goes, there is one I'm thinking about. And then that was the night later on JDC takes Mike Santana. So it's a classic tale of does Moose fear Mike Santana?
I think he
does. Who's been on a hell of a roll since he's come back.
And I want...
That's a hell of a title match on the horizon too.
Oh, that'd be fucking cool, dude. I mean, I'm a big Mike Santana fan, so I just would be stoked for that. And yes, it is partially because he's Puerto Rican as well, but that's besides the point. And he also grew up in the same neighborhood that I grew up in.
New York or Puerto Rican?
I mean, my guy is like, my guy is.
Yeah.
I've had many conversations with him. I literally went up to him when I first met him, and we talked. And then I was like, "Oh shit, yo, dead ass." And he was like, "Oh, where you from?" I was like, "I'm from New York." He was like, "Where you from?" I was like, "The Bronx." Like, "Oh shit!" And then from then on, it was like getting to know a cousin. So it was pretty darn cool. Anyway, that moves us away from that. But I think Moose has still I mean, what better way? Again, Moose, he beats everyone. He beat Maclin. He beat Alexander. He beat Nemeth and Hendry and Kazarian.
But you know what? For Moose's sake, and for the sake of the big bad heel and heat, I would love Moose doesn't pin or eliminate a single person until the end.
Until right at the end.
And he sneak up shot, gets the win, but then gets to go. He cuts that promo. I beat Joe Hendry. I beat Frankie Kazarian. I beat 5 other of the best of the best. But it's like, you didn't. Like, you hit under the ring, or like you bailed over the barricade for half the match, or whatever it is. But it's that the heel gets that bragging moment, but there's doubt able to be cast upon it. So it's great for us on commentary. It's great for the stories.
Yeah, it's exciting, man.
So,
I'm
GB,
so pumped.
Are you saying that you don't believe in Joe Hendry? How
Listen,
dare?
I always believe in Joe Hendry, but my belief will always be trounced by my trust of the system.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice. All right, touche. Granted. Points for wordplay.
But honestly, man, the system is so good. I love everything. I mean, Moose just feels like a fucking star every time he comes out. The crowd so into him. I mean, Moose is amazing, man. I'm such a big fan of him. And also too, I think that JDC getting involved in this story and adds, like, because they needed someone else to kind of be the enforcer, the doing the bidding character. You can only get away with it with Eddie Edwards and oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on
Brian Myers?
Brian Myers. Sorry, Brian. You can only get away with Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers for so long being those guys. So having JDC come in, and he's also, I'm really, really into what his character could eventually become. Because he's trying to prove himself. I think professionally as an individual that he's more than just Fandango.
For sure.
But also, narratively within the system, he's also trying to prove himself within the system. So there's wrestling's at its best when you get a little bit of real life with a lot of fiction layered, on top of it. It's exciting. It's really cool.
Yep.
So, all right. Go ahead, check out TNA Slammiversary. Is it only pay-per-view, or is it TNA Plus as well?
I believe it's on the, I think whatever the kind of that championship tier or whatever of TNA Plus. I believe you get all the pay-per-views, but this one is one of the ones that will be available on wide pay-per-view as well.
Awesome. So you can get it on pay-per-view. You can also get it on TNA Plus. And once again, as we say every single time, TNA Plus, or you can subscribe on YouTube for $1 and you can watch.
That's just the
TNA.
TV show. That won't be
That's
the
TV
pay-per-views
TV
in
show.
it,
That
but
is a
it's
TV
the
show.
Impact TV show. Yep.
And there's no reason why. I mean, it's $1. Okay, it's worth your time. Please, it's so good. It's really entertaining. All right, that moves us on to everyone's favorite moment of the show, the Rebooked 24/7 champion. And before we start, I did want to read our editor's scan. He did lay out his own 24/7 champion. It's a heartfelt one, but I did want to read it real fast.
Oh.
He says that his pick would go to Eric Rowan because you talked last week about how the Six need a big moment, something to spark interest in the group. And the group stuff in the ring with Alpha 2.0 was great and all, but the Rowan tape this week legit made me cry. Rowan confirmed in a very real, painful way what this group is all about. Those that have lost family, loved ones that have felt forgotten. Who's going to care about me? I'm just Rowan was a line that he said. It was one of the hardest lines, most emotional lines that he's heard in a promo in ages. And he says, watching him talk about his losses, the way they're combining Bo and Rowan's real pain and suffering from these losses, it's just surreal. And the quote was, "We're going to take our broken hearts and make some beautiful art," is utterly haunting. And I can't wait to see what the rest of the Six do as they introduce themselves. That was Scan's pick, a very, very good choice for 24/7. Goes for Rowan. Now, it's going to be funny when we start making jokes. So
I was going to say, that's all sweet. You sentimental bastard. Scan, you're so good at everything you do, but
you are.
Damn it, you're ruining the mood.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So let me go first then. Let me go first. Because I'll be honest, I came in today, I did not have a 24/7 champion. I wasn't sure.
Mhm.
I spent a portion of the episode, if you saw me kind of staring out into space if you watch on YouTube, it's probably because I was wondering, what thing, what concept, what weird prop are you going to pick to be the 24/7 champion? But then I was reminded of something that caught my attention several times throughout this very broadcast, boys. And I'm sorry to our audio listeners, but you may have to go back and double back and watch on YouTube, because my 24/7 champion of the week, they're GB's fingers. Because, man, like 4 times throughout this video, he's doing hand signals and his autofocus takes over, and we're just looking at his fingers for a minute or something like that, or like 30 seconds.
Shit.
I remember I noted
You know
it at
why?
the very beginning of the episode, and I was like, we just saw a real tight shot of GB's fingers.
Yeah, my fingers.
For
You don't want my
fingers.
for like
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Yeah, you know why? It's because I had the Google Doc is in light mode, and my camera was freaking out with the, see how it's like so much brighter now? And then I turned it down and it's back to normal, and the camera stays focused that whole time. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to our visual.
That's okay. It just made me chuckle,
viewers.
so that was my choice.
I like that. Okay, my fingers, which I bite a lot and I need to stop, but that's
Dude.
anxiety. All right. What do we got for you, my friend, Jake?
My 24/7 champion of the week is Christian McLeod. Oh, who's Christian McLeod, you ask?
Oh no.
No, nobody asked. Nobody asked.
He is
Why
the
do I have a feeling I know where this is
production
going?
director of EA Sports College Football 25, which came out in early access on Monday. It's a thing of beauty. It's a
Is it good?
thing of it's a Madden killer.
It's a Madden
Like-
killer.
It's better than Madden. It's better than Madden. Everyone said, "Oh, it's just
Wait,
going to be
which is this again? This is
EA
NCAA.
Sports College
Oh,
Football
EA Sports.
25." Yeah, I know.
So they're
it's
killing
like-
their own game.
Yes, because Madden, I'm telling you, nobody's gonna give a shit about Madden. It's so good. Everybody said that the game was just gonna be a Madden reskin with college football jerseys. It is not. The gameplay feels different. The environments in the stadium
But wait a
feel
minute.
real.
If I
It's
may.
so good.
If I may.
Yes.
But wouldn't they just then reskin Madden to NCAA?
I'll tell you what, if they had any sense over there, they would do that.
Yeah, I
But
mean that's what I would assume. You know?
But I don't think so. I think they're going to copy and paste like they usually do. EA
Okay.
Sport, they poured 3 years into this game, and you can tell. Like,
Well,
just like
Famously,
they
when you take
captured-
time making a video game, it does
Yes.
actually turn out okay
Exactly.
versus rushing it every year.
But
Activision.
the game is a love letter to college football,
Okay.
and I'll also say this: ring rust is very real. I
Yeah.
am dog shit at that game right now. The first game honey dicked me because I played really well. I played really good in that first game, and it's been a struggle ever
this
since.
one was a struggle. All
Yeah.
right, mine. We didn't actually talk about it. Funny enough, but mine is going to be Tony Storm's shoe. Because we finally got the comeuppance of what the shoe
Watch for the shoe.
was meant for. Watch for the shoe. And the shoe turned out was the object that would split Tony Storm's skull open as Mariah May butchers her body at the end of Dynamite to become the #1 contender for Tony Storm's Women's World Championship. And they will be wrestling each other at All In Wembley. That was a moment. It was incredible. And I got to say, that did not see that coming in the slightest. Not in that way.
Not that quickly. No.
Not that way and not that quickly. So that's my 24/7 title winner of the week. Tony Storm's shoe, which is all bloodied up right now. Damn,
Okay.
I don't know who to give this to, but you know what? I feel
I like the shoe.
I like the
I
shoe.
think the shoe
I
made
like
a
the shoe
friggin'
too.
impact.
Yeah.
I like the shoe.
that was a good way to kind of bring that whole thing around and kick this thing off on that path.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and let's be honest, EA Sports football, whatever, was never going to win. So we're, but The Rowan one from Scan was honorary 100% because that was a
Nah,
sure.
fuck that one too. If we weren't going to take college football seriously, I'm just...
All right. Well, I guess on that note, we might as well call it a show. It's a little bit of a longer one, but there was so many good things to cover, and we're so excited about TNA Slammiversary. It's going to be taking place this weekend, so go make sure you go on and check it out. But that is going to do it for us here today. Make sure to leave a comment down below what you think of today's episode. Give us some of your thoughts, your theories. Join us on Discord. We'd love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Rebooked Pod across all of our social medias to, keep up with when episodes go live. And if we decide to post or respond to some people, with the theories or whatever that they have, especially if you have any theories and you don't want to join us in Discord, but you want to share your theories, why don't you tweet them at us or, post on our Instagram or something like that, or the comments on our TikTok videos. We would love to hear from you. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time, and we'll see you soon. Peace.